Do you, or have you ever thought to yourself that you can't be a scuba diver because you suck at swimming? Well, Sam, an eager adventurer who wants to become a certified diver, felt the same way, and he's about to prove that comfort beats perfection. I'm Don, an experienced diver that felt I met my match numerous times to swim tests. The truth of the matter is, I'm not a great swimmer, and even failed some swim tests, and needed to retake them, but I always rose to the challenge and eventually passed them. And don't get me wrong, my fitness is quite good. It's not always about fitness when it comes to swim tests. Today, you'll learn what the swim test actually requires to get certified as an open water diver, and how to build good enough technique to build confidence in your swimming skills, and the simple plan Sam used to pass. Let's dive on in. Swimming is a core skill for scuba because it ties directly to safety, self-sufficiency, and control in unpredictable water. Most agencies require 200-meter continuous surface swim without aids, or 300-meter surface swim with mask, fins, and snorkel, plus a 10-minute float or tread without aid. If you think imperial, the good news is meters and yards are almost about the same, to be honest. 200 meters is 219 yards. For most part, everyone just thinks 200 meters is 200 yards. Good enough. For the swim test, there will be no time limit. It depends on the agency, but generally there is no time limit, and you may use any stroke to swim, and it has to be continuous, so there will be no resting on the wall or taking a break anywhere. During the floating portion, you have to keep your upper body, particularly your face, above water and tread the water by any means. Now, it's important that some people will find a little bit easier time on this than others, because some people are floaty and some people are definitely negative. And so by that, I mean your own body's buoyancy. Some people can just kind of float and relax, have a good old time for 10 minutes. Some people will sink straight to the bottom if they're not continuously kicking and sculling in the water. So it's not fair, but the ocean's not going to be fair either. So wherever the challenge is at for you, you have to rise to it. I, for one, am super negative. And so, yeah, these tests tend to be harder for me. And of course, I have to caveat, some of the information I have here is going to be kind of like a baseline, because some agencies are going to differ a little bit here and there. So take it for what you will. But generally, these are kind of what I've seen. Some may even have harder requirements, go above and beyond, and show you're not only surviving, but you're thriving in the water. And the reason why is when you are actually diving, you're going to have access to scuba gear. And scuba gear helps keep you above the water, but it does not replace skill, because at the surface, you must establish positive buoyancy with an inflated BCD and proper weighting, and manage yourself without relying on equipment, because sometimes equipment fails. And because your equipment has failed, you don't want to be so reliant on your equipment that you can't survive without it. Because as you'll find, scuba diving is mostly preparing you for when things are not happening normally. And this is why agencies and instructors tend to assess watermanship independently of scuba equipment. Picture real surface moments. A longer swim back to the boat, a shore exit through mild waves, or waiting for pickup while staying calm and in control. Basic swim capacity turns those moments from stressful to routine. A calm mindset lowers panic risk and helps you learn faster. When breathing stays smooth, your decision-making improves and your body position settles above and below the surface. When Sam heard there was no time limit and any stroke is allowed, the pressure dropped dramatically in his preparation for the swim test. He realized better swimming was an investment in confidence and safety, not just a certification hoop, even though he still felt unsure about his swimming capability. And so ultimately, there'll be two paths that you need to take potentially on your swim test. And that's going to be with gear at a longer distance or without gear at a shorter distance. You gotta pick your poison. And sometimes maybe you have to do both. Hold that choice as we build the plan in the next section. The swim test evaluation checks for basic water comfort and control rather than athletic polish. Keep that in mind. You are building swimming ability and confidence, not trying to be a competitive swimmer. Because if you're like me and you go on the internet and start searching for how to improve your swimming, you're gonna get a whole bunch of stuff basically for competitive swimming. And that stuff might work, but it's definitely at a different level and expectations for competitive swimming than what you need to build confidence in the water. So heed those words. So Sam, in preparation of the test, started weighing both options and trying to decide which one to do. He practiced at his local pool and tested what felt natural for his body. For the 200-meter unassisted swim, think steady, sustainable pacing with any stroke you prefer, and expect about 8 links in a 25-meter pool or 4 links in a 50-meter pool. Turning at the wall is fine for most testing, but resting or trying to stand and take a break breaks the continuous movement requirement. So treat each turn as smooth push and then continue. And you don't need to have perfect turns. Those take a lot of time and skill, which you may or may not want to do. You know, it doesn't really affect scuba diving. So just basically grabbing the wall, turning your legs and kicking off of it. If you can just do that, that's still gaining quite a bit of distance, and that's usually good enough for these swim tests. You can go down and do a flip underwater and propel yourself forward under the water for even more distance and gains, especially if you get really good at it. But myself, I'm not really that good at it. I'm not trying to be a professional swim athlete at this time. I do enjoy swimming, but I'm not competitive. But what you'll find, generally, just like running, is starting too fast is a very common mistake. So relaxed breathing and even pacing matter more than speed. If you think back to your days of running, it's very common, especially full energy, just get off that starting line and just go much faster than you should be. And then you get tired, your body starts breaking apart. And it's even worse in swimming because when you start breathing hard, you start needing to break your rhythm, and your rhythm gets harder and harder to control because you need to breathe more oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. And so your breathing ruins your pacing and your timing, and it just becomes harder to hold good form, and which also makes you more tired. And so form matters more than anything in swimming, and trying to keep a good pace in the way you never start breathing hard is one of the tricks. So pacing yourself and staying consistent with that pacing. Remember, it's not a race. You're not trying to be competitive. It's better to practice consistent pacing than trying to practice how fast you can go. So keep that in mind. Sam didn't quite get this memo. And on his first pool session, Sam burned out after 2 links and grabbed a wall. A mini panic that convinced him to start slower and relax sooner. You can even switch strokes if it helps you settle. You are not penalized for taking it slow as long as you swim continuously. So you can butterfly, you can freestyle crawl, or if you're getting really tired, you can flip to your back where you can breathe easily, let your heart rate calm down, and when you are ready, you can flip back over and continue butterfly or crawl from there. For many beginners, breaststroke and side stroke feels calmer because your face stays out of the water and breathing stays rhythmic. So that is always an option. The key here is to practice into a consistent rhythm of pattern. If you're new to swimming entirely, nothing beats practice and time doing the pattern to build a better habit from it. And I should go ahead and pause there and also say, if you are a completely new diver and you don't even know how to dive, I'd highly recommend that you first take some swimming lessons first, because you'll want to know the basic strokes. And once you have the basic strokes and have the confidence to be able to do them in the water, the next step will be following what I'm saying in this video to build your endurance up, that you have more confidence enough in the water to pass these tests. Another common mistake is trying to rely too much on your legs, like we do with normal day living. Your legs are powerful. We walk on land, we run on land, and we're generally built to be very dependent on your legs. But when it comes to swimming, your legs are massive muscles. You'll find you're not really propelling forward as much as you think with just kicking. You can practice with a little positive buoy in front of you and just kick it as hard as you can if you'd like. And you'll see that really your momentum is mostly going to come from your arm strokes. So depending on how strong your legs are, the more oxygen they're going to use when you're kicking them. And so for some, it might be better to just not kick at all. Or you have very calm and relaxed kicks. Very small leg beats. Of course, it's applying mostly for the crawl, which is generally how I swim. But in general, it's better to focus on good, crisp, clean arm movements versus trying to optimize your legs. You'll get more gains out of that than trying to improve your kicks. I would focus on arm form first and then leg form after. Okay, and let's switch gears and talk about the 300-meter option with mask, fins, and snorkel. Your form will be a little bit different with this in the way that you want to use long, slow fin kicks while you breathe through your snorkel without lifting your head. The key is you want your kick cycles to be even. Otherwise, you'll start turning into a direction of your dominant leg. So focus on larger and slower kicks that are consistent, especially with fins. So the nice thing is once you get those fins on, you'll find your legs are quite capable. And with a snorkel, you'll find with the extra oxygen that your legs need, you'll be able to power through just by breathing through that snorkel a little bit faster. As long as you're keeping it out and dry with good form, then you'll be able to power through with those long, slow kicks. If you're new to snorkels, take a few minutes to practice clearing and regaining cadence so a splash or a small leak never really throws you off or rattles you. It's important to note, even with water in your snorkel, you can usually get a little bit of air. It might come in a little bit wet, but it'll be enough that you can breathe in, and then with a gentle blast or a displacement clear, then resume your slow exhale and settle back into rhythm. Not every agency or training center offers this assisted option of using snorkel, fins, and mask. So it's best to generally prepare for the unassisted option, in my opinion. If you can pass the unassisted swim, the assisted version will feel so much easier. Then let's talk about that 10-minute float, or possibly tread, depending on your buoyancy. This is all about conserving energy and trusting the water to support you while you keep your face clear to breathe. A gentle scull with your hands and a relaxed egg beater kick or a passive backflow all work. And the best choice is the one you can maintain without too much tension and for at least 10 minutes. I would practice maybe 15 or 20 minutes so that the test becomes easier. It's also worth noting that you want to breathe in such a way that you have your lungs fairly full, because your lungs will give you positive buoyancy, and that will just make it a little bit easier to stay on top of the water. Now, it's worth noting that even when I breathe in all the way, lungs full, I still sink. So that is not always a solution. But if your swim test allows it, I would highly recommend using a wetsuit as well, because that's just gonna give you a little bit more positive buoyancy. You're just trying to get to the point where you could potentially float. So it's kind of like a cheating option, but you're going to realistically be using a wetsuit while you're diving anyways. So this is probably a more realistic scenario for scuba diving anyways. Treading was definitely something that Sam struggled with. When he stopped fighting the water and he started using a gentle scull, breathing in more to hold more positive buoyancy, he started finding that the minutes were flying by as he started to float more. And it's worth noting that even if you fail your test, I do want you to know that generally your instructor can schedule more practice and reattempt if needed. This is generally all the cases that I've been through as well. Because the goal is safety and self-sufficiency rather than style. If you fail your swim test hard, all you need to do is focus on a lot of tips I'm saying in this video. Go to the pool, practice, practice, practice. Shout out to your instructor and say, I'm ready for that test again, and they will allow you to retest. I've never seen an incident where they said, one time you fail, you're done. You're not good for scuba diving. That's never the case. Of course, it's good to confirm specifics with your instructor and agency materials so you know exactly how your center runs the assessment. To avoid some of these common mistakes, Sam wrote 2 rules on a sticky note for himself. Start slower than you think, relax sooner than you want. He added 1 practical trick as well. Count lengths in pairs, so you don't always track 4 pairs for 200 meters in a 25-meter pool, or 6 pairs for 300 meters with gear. This just made counting laps easier. Being there and back was 1 instead of 2. On the day that you're taking tests, make sure you bring water and arrive early so you can ease into the environment and confirm the lane length with staff. Ask your instructor whether a brief warm-up is allowed so your first push-off does not double as the first breath pattern of the day. Remember, you have to swim continuously, so you want to have a simple lap strategy to count each length in pairs so you never lose track. Ultimately, Sam chose the 200-meter unassisted option to build confidence in the water without gear. Then scheduled 3 short pool sessions per week like appointments with future reefs. Next, we'll get into 3 drills to turn your choice into control fast. And if you're enjoying this video, now is a great time to like and subscribe. I post weekly content to help divers grow their skills, build confidence, and explore the ocean with curiosity and care. Developing confidence works best when you target 3 pillars: floating, breathing cadence, and efficient stroking. In Sam's first week, he focused on floating and breathing cadence for 20 to 25 minutes, 3 times a week. And at the end of every pull session, he aimed for a 5-minute float to help start building that muscle. During the second week, he focused on keeping that cadence while adding 25-meter repeats at an easy pace with a full rest. And then he started aiming for 10-minute floats at the end of every pull session. And in week 3, rehearses the full test once or twice per session at a relaxed and sustainable pace, and that's key, with a 15-minute float at the end of each session. Of course, still 3 times a week. And one of the keys is you want to try and push yourself harder during training so that when you are tested, it is just easier. You always want to train harder than what you're going to be tested for, because the test is usually not where you're trying to train. It's just trying to pass and show that your bar is above the test expectations. And remember, performance anxiety is real. And when you're being observed, you might feel it's a little bit harder. When practicing your floating, lie back, open your chest, and let that water support you as much as you can. You want kind of a wide surface. Breathe in deeply, and if you need to, gently scull with your hands. If that passive back floating is not working for you in your body, stay upright with your head out of the water and use that light sculling with small economical movements with your legs. You don't want to beat too hard with your legs, or else you start getting winded and tired a lot faster. Remember, your legs are super inefficient, so move them strategically. And try to keep the tread with a smooth back and forth leg motion and a soft bob that keeps your mouth and nose above the water. Keep it gentle and slow so you do not burn out, and stay relaxed. And you can practice rolling from a vertical tread to a passive back float and back again, so transitions stay calm and controlled as needed. And this could help you also if you're trying to swim and you get tired. You can take a break by switching to back float for a period of time. Another thing you'll want to practice during these sessions is breathing control. You can start doing this before you start swimming. Practice at the wall, blow bubbles underwater, turn to breathe, reset, and repeat until it feels routine. It's particularly important if you're doing freestyle crawl, but it generally will help you feel more comfortable in the water, putting your head down into the water and breathing controlled off to the side, because this is generally how you'll breathe on the crawl as well. And during all of this, a lot of what you're going to be doing is trying to stay relaxed, not working too hard. You want to be very calm, controlled, and relaxed. You're not trying to swim hard, because remember, you're going to want to breathe harder when you're working hard, because you're building carbon dioxide in your body. And the reason why you need to breathe out is because your body's exhaling carbon dioxide that's built up in the body. So while you're swimming, after you inhale the oxygen, it helps to immediately start expelling carbon dioxide out in the water. So that's why you kind of bubble in the water, and that way you don't need to exhale when you're ready to breathe. All you need to do is inhale and breathe in the oxygen and exhale the carbon dioxide as you're swimming. Pretty cool how the body works. You generally want to aim for a longer, steady exhale for 4 to 6 counts and a relaxed inhale of 2 to 3 counts as you turn to breathe. You don't want to just breathe in really quickly and put your head down. You won't get a full breath. You want to try and practice that 2 to 3 second inhale, and then you can really take your time exhaling while you're swimming on your strokes. Now you can start talking about stroke efficiency. You can practice these particularly if your pool offers a kickboard, and this will allow you to have positive buoyancy on your chest and allow you to focus on leg form, which again is not the most important form, but it's still good to practice and get used to comfortable paces. So basically you can kick back and forth and find a pace of beating with your legs that doesn't cause you to start breathing hard. You want to stay calm and relaxed the entire time. So find a good pace that you can just go back and forth in the pool without breathing hard. That's going to be your pace. Think that your hips drive the kick. your ankles loose, and your toes are pointed to maximize surface that you're kicking against. And your legs shouldn't break the water. They should stay under the water. Otherwise, you're breaking the water and it's just causing inefficiencies with your kick. Another good thing to practice, and you can even do this without kicks at all, to get used to improving your arm form, is adding that freestyle crawl in for short sets and use breaststroke as a reset if your breathing gets choppy. So what's nice is you can crawl, and if you are getting tired, switch to breaststroke, or you can flip over and do a backstroke. But again, a lot of this is trying to practice at a pace that you can swim without ever breathing hard. So you want to see how long you can swim. And over the 3 weeks, you can progressively increase how long you're swimming. But the goal is to keep a consistent cadence in a way that you're never breathing hard. Whatever that cadence is, if you can swim all those laps with basically a consistent cadence of lap speed, you're in a good spot. You can even count strokes per length to track efficiency and consistency as well. And a lot of your movement is going to be calm, controlled, and relaxed. If you're trying to blast through, you're just going to wear yourself out way faster than you need to. So it's better to focus on how much distance you can cover off of a stroke, relax on that glide, and then stroke again, versus trying to do mini strokes altogether for a faster speed. I find if I'm just gliding, I'm much more relaxed, and that's kind of nice. It's not fast, but you don't need to be fast. And that is the important thing. By week 3, you can even start practicing and including a few links without goggles on. This, of course, isn't needed for the test often, but it helps build that confidence in the water. Because Sam chose that unassisted swimming option, he focused on this style first, so his body understood calm cadence without gear. He still practiced with snorkel and fins for familiarity. Snorkel on, head relaxed, breathing smooth, same cadence as the unassisted option, and you can spend a few minutes each session practicing snorkel clears and regaining rhythm after a mouthful of water so splashes never spiral into added stress. Choose simple gear for practice, a basic J snorkel or a purge snorkel you already own, and fins that you feel comfortable for easy distance, not the stiffest blades on the shelf. Before the test day, swim your chosen option at conversation pace. That's like the zone 2 pace is what I'm talking about, keeping a calm heart rate. And make sure you nail that 15-minute float without aids to confirm readiness. And when you start off, you want to schedule 20 to 30-minute sessions 3 days a week and treat them like appointments you want to keep. It doesn't take too much time, but consistency will pay off here. Tiny, repeatable wins stack faster than those heroic workouts. Now watch how these pool gains show up where it counts. The test, and more important, in the water. On test day, Sam had 3 steady weeks of water time behind him, and 200-meter unassisted swim finally felt natural. He reminded himself this was not a race, just calm, continuous swim at a steady pace. He started slower than he felt like starting, and relaxed sooner than he felt like relaxing. Exactly like his 2 sticky notes. His breathing set the tempo: long exhale, easy inhale, smooth kicks, and no rush. He touched the wall at 200 meters without stopping once and slid into a quiet 10-minute float with his face clear and his breathing unhurried. He passed his swim assessment and walked into the rest of the class with a different kind of confidence. That extra swim practice paid off where it matters. First, math skills. After all this time in the pool and getting comfortable with these skills, when it came to trying to flood his mask and clearing his mask when it comes to open ocean, the skill felt so much easier due to his confidence in the water. Calm breathing turned a stress trigger into a routine move. Second, buoyancy and hovering. His breathing rhythm that he practiced while trying to stay floating became the control. Tiny inhales to rise and tiny exhales to settle. This ultimately helped him stop flailing and feeling more in control and that breathing when it came to hovering and buoyancy in open water. By the final checkout dive, Sam felt quite confident and was not worried at all about failing his open water test and more trying to absorb as much as he can, which put him into a great position. He was the steady, reliable buddy everyone wanted besides them. He earned his open water scuba diver certification because he turned water comfort into a habit, not a one-time test. The same 3-pillar plan scales if your goals get tougher. It can prepare you for time standards and short breath hold swims. For example, like GUE's requirement to swim 275 meters or 300 yards in under 14 minutes without stopping, or completing a 15-meter or 50-foot underwater breath hold swim. These same pillars will help you pass even harder tests. Because after open water, and if you continue your diver education, you'll find that there are more swim tests to greet you down the road. And those will be their own challenges that you'll have to do this similar repeat exercise. Maybe it'll just have a higher bar for you to pass. All these tests confirm comfort and proficiency, not elite athleticism. And this calm, repeatable training is how you get there. Sam started convinced bad swimming would block his dream. By training comfort and technique, he passed and became the steady, reliable buddy everyone wants by setting a foundation of comfort in the water, diligence to practice what is needed, and effort to achieve those dreams. And I know you can too. If you're interested in all the reasons I love scuba diving, do check out this series here. And once you become a certified scuba diver, check out this series here to sharpen your skills. The more you know, the more you'll love and protect the ocean. Until next time.